This is episode 103 of the After Gambling podcast. In this episode, we're going to talk about having some fun after gambling. Hey there, and welcome to the After Gambling podcast. My name is Jamie. I am a former problem gambler, compulsive gambler, somebody that was a gambling addict, addiction, whatever we want to call it these days. There are so many terms, but we all know what it is when we see it. So now I do this little podcast to share the things I've learned, the things that I continue to learn as I go forward in my kind of life after gambling, and share these so that if you're struggling or if someone else is struggling or if you're trying to help someone that's struggling, you can better understand these things and hopefully have better conversations about that with yourself, with the people in your lives. And so today, this is kind of fresh on the heels of my Monday night meeting, which if anybody ever wants to jump on and join us, just shoot me a message. It's every Monday night, 7:30 Eastern time here in the United States. And we're always looking to have some new people join us. It's just my original GA meeting that is now online. So like I said, more the merrier. Shoot me a message and love to have you. But last night we were talking about different things, as we always do. It becomes more of just kind of a chat about life and our ideas and the things that are working, that aren't working. And one of the people in our group brought up a really good point about making sure to get back to having fun and doing the things that you enjoyed before you started gambling. And this is just such a big point that I didn't want to run past it, and I actually came back and we talked about it quite a bit last night. And to be honest, it's something that I'm not always good at. In fact, I won't say I'm not always good at. I'm typically not good at. I often find myself doing things that I just say, well, I have to do this. I need to do this now. I'll put off these other things. And I do kind of these half steps where I'll do things I do enjoy. I shouldn't say I don't do these things. I go for walks. I do a lot of things I enjoy in my life. But there's some things that I still, to this day, will look at and be like, oh, that's just too gratuitous. It's too big. It'll be for another time. It's later. One of those is golfing. I used to golf quite a bit, and I just don't make the time for myself to go walk. That's an interesting slip of the tongue. I do make time for myself to go walk, but I don't make that time to just go chip and putt or to play 9 holes of golf. And it's something that I definitely need to get back to because that's something that I really enjoyed before I was gambling. But it's something that now obviously I'm in a different state of life, have more responsibilities and time commitments in my life. So golf is one of those things that's this long thing. If you play 18 holes, it can be 5, 6, 7 hours. But there's plenty of time for me to go and just chip and putt for an hour or do that instead of a walk. And it's something that I just really enjoy. It's kind of a de-stressing thing. I just kind of go out and I just thoroughly enjoy doing it. But for whatever reason, I don't do it. And I think we all have those things. And one of the easiest things is just think, what did I do before I started gambling? What were the activities that I did and there weren't much competition, or maybe there was competition in it, but it wasn't kind of the type of gambling competition. I wasn't striving for some unachievable goal. It was just some thing that I did that was enjoyable. And I think there's a wide range of things. And this answer is one of the questions that I see most common, especially early in recovery, but even just later on. It's like, okay, what do I do to replace all this time? And so many times you'll see people saying, how do I get that same thrill, that same high from gambling? And I say, you don't. First of all, you just don't. But you seek out things that you liked before, or you seek to use some of those traits, that competitiveness, in a way that isn't so harmful. Investing in yourself, investing in a business, investing in acquiring some new skills that you have possession of, that you have control of, rather than just gambling on the outcome of something that you have no outcome control in. So that's one of the biggest things. But yeah, I think for a lot of us, it's sports or it's some kind of games that we played as kids, in our teens, early 20s, and finding those things that we really enjoyed. Maybe it was working out or playing a specific sport. And so there's all sorts of sports leagues you can join. And even if you don't have the time to join a sports league, there's little things you can do. If you're a baseball player, you can go to a batting cage and just go to a batting cage a couple times a week and just make something new. And I think that's the biggest thing is we have to make some new connections, some new things that we really do enjoy. Because then we really start to see there are all these other things in life. And when we get gambling, we start to pigeonhole ourselves and see only one path, only one way. And it's always gambling. Gambling is the thing that just sucks up all of our time, attention, money, everything. And so when we're trying to live a life after gambling, I think it's important to start to broaden those horizons. I'm sure I've talked about this before. It's just something that, again, came on my radar, and that's why these things are good. That's why meetings are really good, because you hear other people say things that act as these little triggers, these little reminders that, oh yeah, that's something I was doing and it was really helpful for me. And so you just get back to doing it. And so for me, it's hard right now. It's about 5 degrees Fahrenheit outside, so it's very chilly. It's freezing cold. There's snow on the ground. There's not going to be a lot of outside golf, but I have an inside, a little putting green that I can play around with. And there's other ways that I can kind of start to do some of those activities around golf that I really enjoyed inside my house, or go to a golf simulator. There are plenty of options and ideas. I just have to kind of open my eyes and explore and create some new connections. So as we kick off 2024, that's going to be one area that I really spend a lot of time on, is just kind of seeking out fun, finding new fun activities, or in a lot of cases, old activities that I quite enjoy, and really kind of get back into those. So a good exercise, sit down, write down what were the things that you used to do, or maybe have some new things. What are some new activities that you really would like to spend some time on, and just make a point to make that once a week, twice a week that you start to do those things. Start slow and see where that takes you. I think it's going to be a good thing for all of us. Now that we have out this vision of having fun and going back to activities that we enjoyed, I'm going to kind of give you the sneak around the corner, the look around the corner, the look ahead, the consultant's view, the experienced person, the lived experiences person of what's going to happen or what's likely to happen, because I've seen it myself, I've seen it in others. Once we start to do these other activities, or oftentimes before we even start them, but even during them sometimes, it can feel gratuitous. It can feel like, you know what, this is unearned. I have to spend all my time working. I need to get all this money to pay things back. I need to make up for lost time because I was just didn't spend time with my family. I didn't spend enough time with my work. I didn't do all those things. And while there's a lot of truth to that, and we do need to spend more time with family, we do need to spend more time devoted to our work and to the things that we were cheating when we were trying to take a shortcut with gambling, we also need to be a little bit easier on ourselves and understand that it can't be that 100% of the time. We need the downtime. We need to relax. We need to enjoy things. We need to have fun. Because if just life becomes a grind all the time and we're just constantly focused on looking back and just beating ourselves over and over for that same mistake time after time. I love the quote from the Four Agreements where he says something along the lines of, in a completely just world, we would only pay for our mistakes one time. That you would pay the price for your mistakes one time instead of over and over, which we do. We replay our past mistakes over and over. And so this is another situation where, like I said, I'll look ahead and say that one of the things that have held me back in the past is that other people might look at me and say, hey, why are you spending time chipping and putting? You should be working on those things. You should be paying things back. And while there's obviously some truth to that, there's some kind of emotions wrapped up in there and some self-guilt, some assumptions being made. Another great point from Four Agreements. But I just need to get over that. And that's one of those things, or have those discussions with people and say, hey, here's my plan. Here's how I'm working to get better at my work. Here's how I'm spending more time on our relationships. Here's how I'm spending more time in whatever area that you feel you need to, or you feel other people will expect you to. But then also say, hey, and I need my time for me. And my time for me, I'm going to, instead of going to escape my life and gambling or drinking or some other destructive behavior, I'm going to go and chip and putt. I'm going to go to the gym and work out. I'm going to go to the batting cages. I'm going to go play games with friends. I'm going to go walk around and look at new clothing options or new somethings, right? Whatever your thing is. There's a million different things in the world. You can go kind of get involved and have different hobbies or interests and allow yourself time and permit yourself time that is actually part of being a very healthy person. Not just in recovery, just in life. Being healthy in life, having different interests, varied interests, and then allowing yourself the freedom to explore things that aren't always just the most optimal path for kind of making up for lost time. Because we can't make up for lost time. All we can do is just use the time going forward in the best manner. And some of that is just kind of focusing on having those times and allowing time for fun and enjoyable activities. So, like I said, that's just my warning sign. I'm sure as you start to get in there, again, my whole reason for doing this podcast is to share the thoughts that I have, the thoughts I see in others, the things that hold me back, and obviously share them with you. So maybe when you get to that point, you can say, oh, that's what Jamie's talking about. Yes. And you can go forward And so don't get hung up. And so maybe something that took me 6 months or 6 years to figure out, you figure it out in 6 weeks or 6 days or 6 hours, right? So trying to shorten that time frame by using kind of the shared experiences and shared wisdom of the group. And by all means, if you have feedback on activities you're getting into, things that you have kind of reinvigorated yourself with, or if you feel the same way, definitely reach out. Let me know those things, because that always helps to inform me and give me some ideas, and also just helps encourage me to continue down the path of, hey, you know what? I felt guilty about it, but ultimately, here's why it really worked out well. So share those stories with me or other people in your GA groups or just in your life. So I think that's really a beneficial thing. So I'm going to keep this one as a quicker episode because this is just kind of an actionable one. It'll probably end up being somewhere around like 12 minutes or so. So now you got some time. Take off in the next 20 minutes. Go sit down, think about what were the things that you did back before you were gambling. How are some ways, some small steps you can get back into them, and really make a plan, a commitment to kind of doing those things, as well as kind of doing the other things that you need to dig yourself out of the situation you got into. We can do both at once. It doesn't have to be just this 100% all the time, nothing but the perfect path because I wasn't perfect in the past. It's not reality. It will burn out. So come up with this better strategy, which is, hey, I spend 80% of my time, 90% of my time, 70% of my time working on the things in my life, my work, my relationships, working on myself, but then also having that time for fun with other people, with yourself. Find those activities that you enjoy, because, hey, if you're not enjoying life, you're going to end up going back to gambling. You're going to end up going back to some other addiction, because that is what drives us there. When we're not having fun, when we feel disconnected, we don't feel like our life is important or matters or that we're worth it, all of a sudden that's when the destructive thoughts and behaviors start to creep back in. So we just got to keep those at bay by making sure that we remain as healthy mentally and physically as possible as we go forward. I hope this helps. And as always, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a financial planner. I'm not any of those things. I just share the thoughts and experiences from my life with you for informational purposes. So please seek out the help of a professional. Call an 800 number. Go on. Find something that works for you that you can take ownership of in your recovery. So definitely seek out those professionals in your life. Music for the show is Something Elated by Broke for Free and is licensed under the Creative Commons license. Until next time, my name is Jamie, and I will see you in the next episode.